Hello everybody, this is Jasmina, and in this video I'm going to talk about the Iron Sweep Symbolic Star. This one is complicated enough that I thought it needed its own video because it isn't super straightforward. It is, I think, the most complicated one I've looked at, and most people who have heard about it, and many people have not, they dread having the Iron Sweep because they think that means they will be poor. However, it can be a positive star, and that's why it's so complicated. The best description that I've found for the Iron Sweep star, and it is in Chinese, is from this website. There is nothing in English that comes even close to this explanation. So this is probably the first time that it's, let's say, fully shown in English that I know of, at least. Now, unfortunately, if you try to take that page and you translate it into English, it results in a lot of confusion because of the way they're translating certain words, which are key to understanding it, but aren't translated in a way that you can understand what it means. But the Chinese is clear. After struggling with this for a couple of days, I realized that I'm missing something, and so I had my husband read this. Of course, he's a native Chinese speaker and reader. So he was able to, in less than 10 minutes, understand it, and in less than 5 minutes, he was able to explain it to me. So I know how to do it. And it is Google, the Google Translate that's the problem. Now, this is one of the few symbolic stars that is actually based on the lunar calendar. So it's an unusual one. There are some issues, or not issues, some cautions you need to worry about because of this, but only a few people have to worry about it. So you do need to find your lunar date of birth. The Procurala website actually has this ability. It's free, it's easy to use. But if you have other sites and you know your lunar date of birth, that's totally fine. You don't need to do that then. So if this is where the really difficult, or really something you have to be cautious about. If you were born between any years, Lunar New Year and the Solar New Year, and I don't care if the Lunar New Year came first, before the solar, or after. They both can be a problem, or they both can make it more complicated. It's not a problem. It just, you have to be a little more careful. So you have to really know about this. Now, only about somewhere between 1 to 3% of the people out there will have this issue, depending on the year. So it's not super common, but I happen to fall into this category. So it can be a little tricky. So I'll give you an example. If you have someone who was born on January 30th of 2023, this is still a baby, but they were born by the Procurala website. They're born in the first lunar month, happens to be the 9th day. The day and the year isn't important. The lunar day and year is not important. But they were born in the water rabbit year. And so I am giving you the full link for the Procurala website to get to this converter, because the general procurala.com website is not very easy to navigate. So this will get you where you need to go. And this will allow you to convert directly the Gregorian date to the lunar date. Now, your Batsa, if you stick this in, your Batsa would state you're born in the water tiger year, the year before, because we're not up to February 4th, which is when we would change to the water rabbit year. So this is where the trick comes in. This is where you have to be really cautious, because that does make a difference on calculating whether or not you have the Iron Sweep star. Now, this again is only an issue if you're born between the lunar and the solar New Year dates of any given year. Most people do not need to worry about this. Now, the iron sweep star, what does it do? It indicates how you treat inherited wealth or windfall wealth, like from winning the lottery or something like this. It indicates whether or not you're basically going to use that money to increase your wealth, or you're going to just spend the money, have a lot of fun, and end up as poor as you were. So that's what this means. Now, only about 1/3 of the people will have this star because most people don't by the pattern, and you'll see that in a second. But for the ones that do, half of them it's positive, the other half is negative. So only 1/6 of people out there, 16%-ish, actually have the negative form of the star. So most people don't have to worry about this. When it's negative, it is said you sweep away your family wealth, because most of the time, of course, when this was created, there was no such thing as lotteries. So any wealth that you had, any windfall wealth you had, came from inheritance. Now, when it's positive, you don't sweep the wealth away, you actually sweep the wealth in. I mean, you gather more new wealth because you use that to invest rather than to enjoy yourself. Now, if you have several children and any one of them have the negative form of the star, you might wish to consider a trust for them as an inheritance rather than a straightforward inheritance, because otherwise they're very likely just to blow the money and just go through it very fast and not gain anything from it. Now, if you yourself have the negative version of this, basically you need to learn financial discipline, and that is hard. I know it is hard. The other way you can deal with this is, instead of, if you really can't gain financial discipline, and I'm not making a judgment here, some people, even members of my own family, seem to have issues with this, then you need to create a trust for yourself, so that if you get a windfall either from an inheritance or from the lottery, because you'll probably play the lottery if you don't have financial discipline, then you put that in there, and you already have everything all set up so that it just goes in there automatically. Otherwise, you're just going to spend the money, and you're going to, a year or two later, you're going to wonder where all the money went, and you won't see any positive effects from it. That's why you want to have this all set up so that if it does happen, you automatically put the money in there, and it does the discipline for you. Now, the first step is to see whether or not you have the iron sweep, because most people don't have this. It is done by looking at your year animal based on the lunar calendar and the lunar month of birth. So, for a man, or the male gender in general, you will look at this table and you look at your lunar year animal. Now, most people, this will be their solar year animal also, but if you're born between the lunar and solar new years, you have to be careful with this. And this would be the lunar month. You want to check. Now, you notice that some of these months, it's only 10 days out of the total number of days that actually have this. So what does that mean, the middle 10 days? Well, the lunar months are typically either 30 or 31 days, and most often 30. And so this would be the 11th through the 20th, or perhaps 11th through the 21st if it's 21 days or 31 days. So that's even a smaller portion. So you can see not everybody's going to fall into this, because they have to be born in a certain animal, the lunar animal, and a certain month. They have to have both. You don't say dragon in the second, no, it's straight across. So if you're born in, if you have the dragon, if you're born in a dragon year, and you're born in any month other than the first lunar month, you do not have the iron sweep. So here's an example, January 30th, 2023. If you go to the Procorala website, so the output from the Procorala website says They were born in the first month of the rabbit year. Now, this, they happen to call it hare, but hare and rabbit, they are very close. They are really different species, but here, it's the same thing. The goat and the sheep often are interchanged, so that could be another one. And the boar and the pig, of course, they're basically the same thing. They are often interchanged too. So I'm not sure exactly what for all months that the Procorolla website will say, but it should be fairly clear. So what does that mean? We are in the rabbit year, but we're in the first month. We're not in the second month. This person does not have, this man or male, does not have the iron sweep. Just doesn't have it because they were not born in the right month. Let's take another example. So this is February 15th of this year, 2024. They're born in the first month, but in the dragon year. So what do we have? We have this, dragon and first month. This male has the iron sweep. Now we know this, we have to determine whether it's positive or negative, and that's going to take a number of new steps. But let me go on and talk about the women first. So this is the table for the women. It has different months listed, and so you're going to have a different set of things to look at. So let's take a couple examples. We have here the same date as before, but this happens to be a female. It'll be the rabbit year, first lunar month. So we have rabbit, born in the first lunar month. It's not the 7th. This woman or this female does not have it. February 6th of 2021. This is a rat year, and this person would be born in the 12th lunar month because in 2021, the Lunar New Year came after the Solar New Year. And so they have the rat, 12th month. Yes, this person, this woman or female, has the iron sweep. So now we go on to find out the multiple steps to find out if it's positive or negative. So the first thing you need to do, and that's if you, and only if you qualify from the last set of tables that you have the iron sweep. If you don't have the iron sweep, you just stop there. And if you're only looking at yourself, you don't even have to watch the rest of this video. That is, if you don't have the iron sweep. But if you do, then we look at this table. So you find your lunar month listed here by the numbers, and you see what element it is associated with. Now, this is not strange. You probably can recognize this from the 24 mountains, and that the ox, dragon, goat, and dog, which are the graveyard animals, are associated with Earth. So you've seen this before. This table, this element that we find from this table, will tell you where you start counting. A few more slides before I tell you what you count to, but here you have to know where to start counting. It's a bit confusing, but just bear with me. So this is the table. So if your element down here is listed as wood, you're going to start at the tiger. If it's listed as fire, you're going to start at the pig. If it's listed as earth, the 4 graveyard animals, you're going to start at the goat. If it's metal, you're going to start at the ox. And if it's water, you will also start at the goat. This element tells you where to start on this table. Just want to be totally clear. So if you were born in the month of the goat, you're going to start at the goat. That just happens to match. But you just look and find that link. So which animal you count to is the animal sign associated with your hour of birth. You can check your Batsa for this hour animal sign because It doesn't matter whether it's the lunar or solar dates, your hour of birth is just based on the hour of the day. And it's based on this table. And the thing is, this is what you're going to see from your Batsa. So this is basically the only time I'll show this table because most people will know what their hour is. If you do not know your hour of birth, you might not know whether or not you have well, you will know whether or not you have the iron sweep, but you won't know whether it's positive or negative. So you have to do whatever you need to do to figure out your hour of birth. So an example is a male born on March 14th of 2023. They're born in a rabbit year in the second lunar month. They do have the iron sweep star. And let's say they're born on the monkey hour. So the second lunar month is associated with wood. So they're going to start at tiger. And then you're going to count until you reach monkey. So this is how you do the counting table. So you start at tiger with 1, and you go until you reach the monkey, which ends up at 7. Now, if you happen to have been born the same hour as you start, if this person instead was born during the tiger hour, you would start and end at 1. So your number would be 1. Just want to be clear about that because it might be confusing otherwise. So your number will be somewhere between 1 and 12. So in this case, this male has the number 7. Now it actually doesn't matter whether or not it's male or female. If they end at 7, we use the same table, whether it's male or female. And this is the table that you use. So it tells you the meaning of the number from table 5. And so you find the number here. And so this is our example, born. They ends up with the number 7. Right here's number 7. So this person would sweep away their family's wealth, basically once he starts his own household and inherits any money or gets a windfall from like a lottery or something like this. So this is the negative form. Let's do another example. And this time I'm going to start right from the very beginning so you can see all the steps. So this is just a date I randomly picked. I don't know anybody who was born on this date. If you happen to be, lucky you, you actually get to know what the answer is. This person's born on October 12th, this female, 1982 at the dragon hour. So the lunar date is the 8th month of the dog year. So we use table 1B right here. This is the dog year, 8th month. This female has the iron sweep. Now we need to determine whether it's positive or negative. So we look here to find the element. This is the 8th month, so it's associated with metal. And then we use table 3 to find out where we count from. And that's right here, metal and ox. So we start counting at ox. And we're going to count until the dragon hour. So here it is, 1, 2, 3, 4. The important number is number 4. And we look here, there's number 4. So this female would, any inheritance or windfall that they get, they will increase the wealth. They'll use the money wisely to increase their wealth rather than just spending it and enjoying it. So that is good. This is the positive form. Now, to summarize, first thing you do is you find your lunar date of birth. You need to know your lunar year animal and your lunar month, the number of your lunar month. And you will use either table A, 1A or 1B, depending on your gender, to determine whether or not you have the iron sweep. And again, most people don't have this. I don't have it, my husband doesn't have it. If you do not have the iron sweep star, and you're only looking at your own thing and you don't care about looking at anything else, Don't go any further. You're done. You don't have this. You will treat an inheritance or a windfall more based on what your upbringing is and not on the energies that this iron sweep star would have given you. But you don't have it, so it doesn't affect you. So, but you could go either way. It depends more on your upbringing. Now, then let's say you do have this. Then determine what element you have from your year animal from table 2. Then determine where to start counting using the animal from table 2, or from the element from table 2 to see where you start counting in table 3. And then using table 4, you want to find the animal sign associated with your birth hour. If you don't already know it, most people know this. Then using table 5, you start counting the animal from table 3 and up to the animal of your birth hour. And you're going to come up with a number when you do this. And then you use table 6 to find out what this table 5 number means, whether it's positive or negative. And this is where the table 6 is where you find out whether or not, if you do have the iron sweep star, whether or not it's a positive or negative version of it. And I hope that's clear enough. You're probably going to have to go through this a couple times to really get it, but it's pretty straightforward if you take it step by step and don't go on to a next step until you understand the step before. So that's basically it. I hope that this was very useful to you guys. It is, as far as I know, the first really complete English explanation for this particular star. It's complicated enough that I can see why nobody has done this beforehand. But thanks again for watching.